Water from an abandoned mine in Fayette County combined with heavy rainfall caused a mudslide that briefly closed Route 60 between Smithers and Boomer. Crews from the Division of Highways cleared the road within a day, but finding a permanent fix to stabilize the hillside is going to be a much more complicated project. The DEP's Mike Huff explains.
Traffic is once again moving along this busy stretch of US 60. A mudslide back on February 28th briefly closed the road after water, which had been pooling inside an abandoned mine at the top of the hill, caused the hillside to slip, sending a stream of mud, rocks, and trees to the road below.
Water's built up in the number 2 gas mine works about 500 feet up on the hill. The water came out, saturated the hillside. The upper part of the hill started moving. It has come down through Eagle Seam Works and then continued on to US 60. There are actually 2 separate seams mined by the same company. Number 2 gas was mined up until 1944. The Eagle Seam was mined from 1914 up until the 80s. This particular section of the mine was mined out in 1918.
The DEP's Abandoned Mine Lands and Reclamation Program is handling this as an emergency project, one of about 30 such problem sites the AML program has to deal with statewide during an average year.
Because AML sites are dynamic, they're always changing. What might be a stable, low priority site today after a freeze-thaw cycle or a rain event, that site may become an emergency situation or a high priority site that suddenly bumps itself to the top of our reclamation list.
The AML program estimates there's roughly $4.5 billion worth of reclamation work needed to address all the problems associated with abandoned mine sites in the state. And that doesn't include underground mine voids like this one.
So even if all the physical features were abated today, and so all the high walls, all the portals, all the vertical openings were reclaimed 100% today, the fact that we have mine voids would still present a problem for the state of West Virginia. Those mine voids would continue to present us with subsidence problems, mine blowouts, acid mine drainage, and landslides. So those are the features and those are the conditions that cause emergency situations every year.
To give you an idea of the size of the problem, the DEP's AML program estimates that underground mine voids in West Virginia contain more water than all the surface lakes and impoundments around the state combined. AML budgets about $4 million each year just to take care of emergencies like the Smithers slip. So far, there's no word on how much this project will cost.
Our current proposal, and it's in the very early stages, we still have to do a little more investigation, but we're going to start at the number 2 gas seam, which are the 1944 works. We're going to excavate down the rock, attempt to capture all the drainage there. We will continue excavating the rock down to approximately the Eagle Seam. We'll have to do a little bit of work there to clean up around the entries and some of the old works. And then at that point, we'll reduce the amount of excavation down to just the amount needed to get the lower portion of the slide stabilized.
But it's more involved than bringing in a bunch of bulldozers and excavators and starting to move dirt. For one thing, there's the historic significance of the site.
The entries into the Eagle Seam are actually cut stone archway. It's dated 1918 in the stone. The mine number 113 is also engraved in the stone at the keystone. The entryway itself is about 20 feet wide by 25 feet high. Fairly ornate to be a coal mine entry. There's also cut stone approach walls, cut stone stairwells, and other features that contribute to its eligibility for the National Register for Historic Places. So with all that said, we had to enter formal consultation in order to move forward with the project in case we have to remove contributing features or the primary features themselves.
And then there are concerns with bat habitat in the old mine works and preventing sediment and runoff from the site work from impacting aquatic life, specifically mussels, in the nearby Kanawha River. Finally, there's the issue of traffic on US 60 once the work begins.
Division of Highways has asked us to use temporary flaggers so we can reopen the road at night. We are going to attempt that, but if we're unable to keep the road open at night, we will put up temporary signals and have one-lane traffic all the time so that traffic is maintained.
Once the work begins, the project is expected to take about 6 months to complete. In Smithers, I'm Mike Huff for Environment Matters.
As of today's taping, no start date for the project has been announced.